Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly episode 26. We've obviously got a huge amount of stuff to talk about this week with some very exciting WoW news coming up onto the PTR. But first up, I have to introduce my co-host, Wowhead guide writer, and everything extraordinaire, Peculiar. How are you doing this week, Perk?
I am doing great, coming down from 6.1, but we have some really cool topics to talk about this week.
We
so
absolutely
let's dive
do.
right in.
Yeah, so we just literally had 6.1. Like, 6.1 happened, what, like days ago?
Yeah,
a
like
week
a week ago or
ago?
so.
And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, like, we're all done. Like, yeah, 6.1. Okay,
Yeah.
back to reality for a little while, back to normality, that kind of thing. And then we, all of a sudden we've got straight into 6.1.2.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get a break in between the two, so thanks to that blizzard. It's on the PTR already. It's got a build that went up last night, but we don't have servers yet. Okay, so I tested this just before we started, but I didn't actually test it since we started. So maybe servers have gone up in that time. But yes, we don't have servers up yet. So what does that actually mean, Perk? That means that it's up there, but we can't access it.
So we can data mine it. We can see that there are tooltip updates for old hotfixes, and more importantly, we can see that there are new items for the WoW token. So there's an item for the item that you can use to sell to others, and then another item, which is the one that you acquire when you buy it from someone for game time.
Yeah.
So only two items, but they're pretty big items.
Yeah, definitely. So it's sort of, we've got those items in our database. We can't actually get onto the servers to play with them, to access them,
we can't
to
preview,
see how they work. We can't do screenshots. We can't do any of that kind of stuff. All we can do for now is talk about them. So that's exactly what we intend to do. So obviously it's a little bit controversial. It's not the most sort of, I don't know, I say it's controversial. I personally love it. But it's kind of, yeah, was your knee-jerk reaction like a positive one? Like, what was your sort of immediate response?
I mean, it was pretty positive. When it would seem pretty similar to what we saw in Blizzard's preview blog from the end of 2014, and it seemed to be pretty fair and kind of cautious. And one part I really liked was how they were talking about curbing some of those BOEs and strange raid items from the black market auction house to make people feel less forced that they had to spend money,
yes,
to exploit the system to get ahead. So I think that it feels pretty balanced right now, and I'm curious to see what the prices will be as things settle down.
Yeah, definitely. So that, much the same sort of knee-jerk reaction from me. Like as some people know, I moved from the EU to the US and I started playing on US servers. My EU account was very wealthy because I kind of got really into the auction house at the end of Cataclysm, and my US account is dirt poor. It really is. So I'm just so excited.
Every week.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Like, so I'm really, really looking forward to having the ability to buy gold. Like, and that's basically what this is. So just to run it kind of down real briefly for people who may not know what is actually going on here, or for people who miss the news posts up on Wowhead, that kind of stuff. It's a token for game time, which you can buy with real money, and then you can turn around and sell that in game for gold. It's run through the auction house interface, but it's not actually an auction house. It's what they're calling the token exchange, which is a sort of internally Blizzard controlled pricing system. So say, for example, I'm buying a token for real money and Perk's going to buy it for gold. I go and I pay my real money for it. I get the token sent to, I pay it in the in-game shop, I should make that clear. So then the token is sent to my mailbox. I then toddle over to the auction house, go and open it up, go into the WoW token exchange, and then I put my token up there and it says, you're going to get this amount for your token. Is that okay? Is that fine with you? And then you go ahead and accept it. So then Perk is looking to buy game time with gold. She goes over to the auction house and she goes, hey, I want to buy some game time. And she then pays gold for it. So it's completely through Blizzard. Like all of that work is through Blizzard.
It's important to note that the prices that you see in this interface are not set by players. There's an algorithm that Blizzard sets that adjusts based on supply and demand, and it can change and vary across different realms. So, if there's a lot of tokens, it might not be as expensive, etc. So that's going to be interesting to see. And it's also worth noting that the Q&A that they put out talks about it being available from the shop at some point, but they can't give details yet. but also that there's no sort of like gifting or players giving it to each other. It just is sort of this very strictly defined system.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's good. I think it's good that it isn't a sort of exchangeable item as such. Like once Perk's bought that item for her in-game gold, it is soul bound to her. So say if Perk then wants to sell that on to, say, Serene, who does a lot of our guide writing, she can't. So she's stuck with it once she's paid that gold for that token. It doesn't seem to be the case that she can sell that on. I'm not sure at this point if she can refund it or anything like that. Like there are strings that we data mine that say this is non-refundable.
Exactly.
So it seems pretty likely that once you've actually paid that gold for that token, you will not be able to get that gold back. Sorry, there's a cat running around my living room just being a complete idiot. I'm really sorry about the noise. Stop it, cat. What are you doing? But yeah, anyway, so it's just a case of like it's very, very tied down and nailed down. If you've seen it in other games, if you're familiar with EVE Online or WildStar particularly, where they had the commodities exchange and you could resell those tokens, which allow players to kind of dictate the market. Blizzard are dictating this market very much internally, and there's not much flexibility for players to set the price there. Perk, what do you think about that? Because I'm okay with that personally.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm sort of fine if Blizzard just wants to, you know, just set the prices that they want to and players stay out of it, and then Blizzard focuses on, you know, tweaking other content so it doesn't feel mandatory that players have to get involved in this buying and selling mini games so they can go off to the black market auction house and get more gold to get their mythic PoE before the raid opens. So I'm fine with that. One thing I did want to mention, though, as part of the summary, which I think is pretty cool, and you found it on the VentureBeat interview actually and posted it on your Twitter, was how if you have a lapsed account, there's this handy UI option on your character screen where you can sort of reactivate your account for gold. Isn't that what you saw in the interview? So that seems very cool.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, yeah, really, really cool. So if you have an account where you've let it roll over to a veteran account status where, say, for example, like I have a level 100 and for some reason, which would be very stupid of me to do, because given that it's my job, I stopped playing. I cancelled my sub, let my sub lapse, etc. But I have enough money on my, spread out through my account to buy one of these tokens. I can actually just do that from the screen, from the in-game screen. Someone's asking in Twitch chat if this is peculiar, that the rogue blind McKinnon, but that is percula, actually, not perculia. Look, there's an I there. There's an additional I. I'm sure you get this a lot, Perk.
Yeah, I do. Actually, I had the name before the video came out, and people have messaged me in game sounding very excited that they met me, and it's a total coincidence. You know, I like the Bloodfang set.
She does also play a rogue. But it's very appropriate.
Yeah.
The mythos is there. But no, it's not her. So anyway, going back to what I was saying, just to answer that person's question, they won't see it for 30 seconds because Twitch chat, but yay. But yeah, so they basically have a system whereby you can then reactivate your account with just a button, which appears where the upgrade to a new level of the game button would normally appear. One thing that we found in the strings, which is very, very cool, and I think is like the really good thing about this, like say, for example, I gave up on playing WoW like 6 months ago when I had no idea that WoW token was even coming. Like I had no clue, so I didn't prepare for it by putting all my gold onto one character. So you know, I don't have all the gold in one place, but the way that they've designed it, they will pull that gold evenly from all your characters, so then it's taken evenly from everyone for reactivating accounts.
Yeah, that's very convenient.
That's very, very convenient. Yeah, so if your WoW account lapsed, like you know, for whatever reason decided that you no longer wanted to pay the money to play World of Warcraft, but you have enough gold kicking around between all your characters, you can use that gold to buy a ticket even if it's not all in one place. So I think that's really, really cool. Marcus Torrent asks, odd that they take the money out of all the accounts equally. Has there been any statement from Blizz as to why they keep gold separate for all characters? Would this be a step towards shared gold across all characters? That is a pretty substantial logic leap, but I mean, I would love it if they did. I don't think we should take that as a sign that they're looking at it or anything. But I would love it. Like Mr. BC Walker says. Yeah, Mr. BC Walker says, I would love account-wide money. Oh my god, I'd love that so much. Like Diablo Stash, you know? That would be very cool.
Yeah, I mean, when the PTR comes back up, we can test this as well and answer more questions like, is this deactivated? Is this if you have active accounts? But right now, we just sort of have these strings and we're trying to piece it together. Yeah, exactly. Going back to what you were saying about, you know, sort of, do you like this? What are the pros and cons? Like, I really think it's great if, you know, if I have a lot of cash, but I don't have a lot of gold, I can now sort of turn some of that cash into gold.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I was a college student and I had all this gold, but I didn't have a ton of cash, then I could fund, you know, WoW from in-game and not have to, you know, find $15 every month.
Oh, totally.
I would have appreciated, you know, back in like Burning Crusade and Wrath when I was like buying all these TCG mounts, but wasn't, you know, super, you know, well employed at that point. So I think that's good for, you know, flexibility and, you know, where people are with stuff.
Yeah, sorry, I knocked my headphones cable out for a second there. So I was like, oh crap, I don't want people to be blown away in the ears. But yeah, exactly. I think it's really, really cool. And like, for example, if you've got a ton of gold, like someone like Elvine, who wrote a really awesome little opinion, kind of subjective guide-ish piece for us on it on Wowhead, like he's got so much gold that he was tweeting that WoW is now effectively free to play for him for the rest of his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he can just, like, if he runs out of gold, just make more gold. So that would be very cool for those people. And like, again, for people like me, where, you know, we're not exactly loaded working on websites over here, but, you know, we have probably a little bit more money than we have time to play the auction house super tightly. So that allows us to make that conversion. Like, it's just time or money. And I think it's really, really cool for both of those aspects, because like I've certainly struggled to make gold in a sort of realistic and sustainable way.
Yeah, I think of all those people who are like, I built all these garrisons, I'm so poor, like, I don't have any time to manage this like I do. And it's like, oh, well, now there's this extra conversion system. Which
Exactly there. And actually, there's an interesting conversation happening in our chat now about the account-wide gold. Binkenstein makes a very valid point that it would require a higher max gold amount. Yeah, absolutely. Agree with that. And, you know, people, I don't even know how to say that, Air Viper? Air Viper. Let's go with Air Viper. Account-wide gold, we need a pile of changes to make it work. Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of, I think, why Perk and I aren't sort of immediately being like, yes, it's definitely the case that they are going to do this. It just seems like it's a possible rather than a, you know, maybe in the distant future they'll go with something like the Diablo 3 stash. But right now it seems unlikely. So actually, speed...
Oh, yeah, one more as an answer. So they didn't say what... he's asking, did they say yet how much each token would baseline start at? And no, they didn't, but, Elvine has a blog that we just mentioned that speculates on what he thinks they would start at based on, you know, other gold sellers and other factors. So if you want some speculation, definitely check out that blog. And they've said they're not locked into having the same price across all regions. So if, you know, conversion rates are different or one region has different needs than another, they will start at different amounts there.
Yeah, absolutely. They've actually talked about having economists on staff, and they're doing a thing which economists do to assess like poverty lines in real countries, where they make like a shopping basket of, and you know, in real countries, it was like recently updated in the States to include internet, things like bread, milk, butter, clothing, soap, that kind of stuff, and they sort of put all that in a basket and assess how much it costs, and that's how they calculate various economic factors. And they've actually done that for World of Warcraft as well. And they're using that information to calculate the different costs that they're likely to expect in different regions. And also to obviously offset any kind of currency exchange concerns. For example, like if you are playing in the US, you'll pay a different dollar subscription amount to if you're paying in the UK. Like obviously Europe, we're paying in different currencies, and we tend to get kind of done over on the currency conversions there. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because Europe and Australia
pay more, like the in-game shop,
we get to we get to pay more for pretty much everything. So maybe we'll see and like go from there. We'll just have to see how that turns out. But I do think it's really cool that it allows them to control things like currency conversions. It allows them to sort of say, all right, so in the Australian servers, it's going to cost this much. In the European servers, it's going to cost this much, without having to set a universal price. And those tokens are also region locked. They've made it very, very clear.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, they are region locked. So you're not going to be able to buy an EU token and take it to NA. You're not going to be able to buy, for example, I think the Brazilian real is a very cheap way to get certain game elements.
Yeah, I know people have mentioned that, like, oh, you should totally buy this in Brazilian thing to get a really cheap, like, character transfer.
Yeah. So I think
that's intended.
Exactly, it doesn't seem like intended. They're kind of working along those lines. So I think that we're going to see that being quite different in different regions, but there's not going to be transferable. So that kind of mitigates the issue of things like currency exchange and those kinds of potential problems. So Elvine kind of ballparked it at around $20. The basis being that the monthly sub is $14.99 at the sort of most expensive level, and this has to be a little bit more expensive than the monthly sub. Ian Hazzikos has clarified that in the interview he did with VentureBeat that we also linked in the article. So he said $20 based on actually Wildstar, who have the commodities exchange and the normal method for buying sub time. Normal method is $15 a month, commodities exchange is $19.99. So that's kind of where he was coming from with that. Perk, to me that seems a little bit high. What's your thought on that amount?
I mean, it feels a bit high to me, but also keep in mind that boosting a character to 90 is $60, and we all thought that was high as well. And I mean, if you think 15 versus 19.99, that's not a big difference, you know, putting those two things together, but I could see them trying to push it just because it's a totally unique system, and if it turns out $20 is too high, then you know, they said that they will adjust it based on their algorithm, moving it higher or lower. So it's not that this is, you know, set in stone forever. If they realize it's the wrong price, they can change it. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think like it's also, although the sort of my knee-jerk reaction is that that's kind of high, it kind of depends what I will be getting in game for it. So looking like we all know that gold sellers exist out there. Like there's no pretending that gold sellers aren't a reality. Wowhead, to be completely clear, definitely does absolutely not condone the use of gold sellers. We all know, hopefully, that they are clearly against the terms of service and highly likely to get you banned. So we're talking about them because we all know we're out there, not because Wowhead in any way condones or encourages or even permits, let's say, the use of gold selling services. Nonetheless, they do exist, and they will sort of talk about gold prices down as low as like 7 to 5 cents per 1,000 gold based on the research that Elvine did for the article which he put on the site. So it seems pretty unlikely that Blizzard would be coming down that low, because you would end up with a heck of a lot of gold for your $20 investment.
And you want you still want people to actually pay money for the subscription.
Yeah,
you don't want one to be clearly better than the other. You know, having it be getting it in game, it's like, well, there's this convenience and gold angle, but it needs to be more expensive to balance out the lower actual cash amount.
Yeah, definitely. And it's sort of, you know, they've said that they want to be like, I think the wording he used was competitive with gold sellers. And Mr. BC Walker in Twitch chat says that the token is different. Its purpose is to drive out gold sellers. And I think that, you know, if they can come down somewhere near where the gold sellers are, then that would be a really good thing.
Yeah, it makes it a lot less tempting.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're getting like if you're paying $20, let's assume that you're paying $20 and you're getting sort of 30,000 gold from that, then that's kind of, that's pretty good. That's kind of 0.75. And that would probably be a pretty good amount. But there's no way that they can absolutely confirm that they're going to be maintaining it less. If you got 40,000 gold for $20, I don't know. I think that starts feeling problematic to me. What's your take on that?
I'm also really curious about what's going to happen to the economy in general. Like, I usually save up my gold to get trading card mounts, but it's like, you know, if you're going to, if I buy these tokens for money and I start getting like $40,000 a pop, like what's that going to do to all these high price things if I have this huge flood of gold coming in? And it's like, oh, well, if I just buy a few tokens, I've suddenly got this mount, or I've suddenly got this item I've been after. Yeah. So there definitely has to be a balance so it doesn't sort of trivialize
devalue
like,
the economy.
The stuff that you're trying to work towards as luxury.
Exactly, yeah.
To get gold.
Yeah, like for example, then looking at it, say I wanted to buy the Grand Expedition Yak, like, or if it was coming out with my $20 buys me, let's say 40,000 gold, $60 for that Yak is kind of, that's okay for some people. Like that's a lot less than you would pay for some of the rarer TCG mounts, and like 100,000 gold mounts, which are the TCG mounts, they sell for a lot more when you're actually buying that card. And
exactly.
So it's kind of
like Spectral Tiger could be like
500,
and now it's like, oh, well, I'll just buy X number of tokens. And
exactly. It's kind of, it's going to be an interesting impact on things like WoW TCG Loot, our great friends over at WoW TCG Loot, which is like, it's the #1 or honestly the only place to buy TCG cards and mounts and pets and other kind of stuff like that right now. And like, how is this going to impact them when people can resell that and get them cheaper through the game, but then there's a finite amount? It's really interesting. Like, I wish I was better at economics and maths and I
like,
paid more attention.
For example, I'm trying to get this rocket mount and it's for like 200,000 gold right now. So it's like, well, that could be maybe 5 tokens, but if you check WoW TCG Loot, the card for that is usually like $250 or $300. So it's like, well, you know, the price could go down, could it go up? It's just interesting to see how these goods could shift around in price.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I'm going to say that Shingara in a Twitch chat brings up an interesting point, which I wanted to touch on as well, which was also covered to an extent in Elvine's article, how gold will move from server to server, because the WoW token exchange is region level. So say Perk's on server A and I'm on server B. We do play on different servers. We both don't. I don't give mine out because I've had problems with people coming and bothering me in game before. But like, so I play on server A, Perk plays on server B. We go with the same example as we gave earlier, where I am selling my token for gold and Perk is buying my token. That gold effectively moves from the economy of server B to the economy of server A. It is not a region-wide auction house. It is just a region-wide token exchange. And while
it's like a separate UI. This is not part of the existing auction house UI. This is something separate.
Exactly that. So basically the money, whatever Perk ends up paying for my gold, for my token, has then moved from her server to my server. And that means that my server, like if I then decide that I'm going to buy $200 worth of tokens and Perk, for whatever reason, is going to buy them all, then obviously this is an extreme and hypothetical example, but a lot of gold can shift between server economies. And that was a real concern that Elvine had, and obviously he knows a lot more about it than we do, but that does seem like a legitimate concern to me, particularly if you've got smaller servers where people are likely to have less gold flowing through the market in general.
Right, or like one server that has a lot of like raiders on it, so they want to like sell more to get more gold for augment runes or BOEs or, you know, what have you. That could also affect, you know, the gold flowing in and out of a server.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, what Elvine said was that he felt that a potential solution to this, like there's two possible solutions to this that he sees. And one of them is to take the token exchange and make it server level, which he doesn't think would work because then you'd only have, you know, very small amounts of tokens moving.
It's like the Guardian Cub, which kind of did not go very well.
Exactly, yeah. Like finite amount of sales and sort of turnover of the tokens and the gold. But then the other option is to go with a region-wide auction house. And that would certainly make the auction house game either a lot more interesting or a lot less interesting, depending on your personal take. But I think that like maybe this is something that we could see happening for the future, is auction houses actually expanding. They've already expanded across factions on one server. I don't know if we'd ever see them going up to a region-wide level.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That would be a lot of tech involved.
That would be a big amount of tech, definitely. And I think it would be a really, really massive change to the way that the WoW auction house works for the people who enjoy playing that aspect of the game. But yeah, so kind of touching on what Perk mentioned earlier was the element of the black market auction house and other items which could have this pay to win element. So as Perk said, Ian Hazakosa said in the interview which he did with VentureBeat that they would be readdressing certain things available on the black market auction house. Now obviously things like mounts, pets, transmog gear, they're not problematic at all for this kind of stuff. Like there's no, unless you consider winning to be getting a better transmog than your neighbor.
I got my toy box first.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. So I don't think that particular element of the BMAH is a concern, but things like the BOEs, like there was some sort of drama about guilds in the World First Race recently, allegedly buying a ton of BOEs on the black market auction house and server hopping to do it and using them.
It also doesn't really make sense. Like even if you weren't server hopping, it's like, oh, there's this, I can buy these BOEs that are a higher item level than the raid that's currently available.
Yeah.
Because you could get these Blackrock Foundry BOEs, which could be mythic and warforged, back when Highmall was out. So that's a pretty big item level.
Yeah, definitely.
If you wanted to do well, you felt forced to
buy stuff.
BOEs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, that was a really bad situation. And it makes me very happy to hear that they're actually looking at making those changes, to sort of say, like, because I've always thought that the black market auction house was a cool thing for people who play the gold game. Like, to me, that's an element of the game that's just as valid as me doing a bunch of PvP or Perk doing, you know, all of her achievements alongside of the normal gameplay that we both do. Like, none of this is invalid methods of play. The auction house is just as good as everything else. But what is tricky is the fact that you can get content. Like, it's like if I was able to get the very, very best PvE gear through doing PvP. Or,
yeah, like how they try to get rid of that. So you weren't using PvE gear in PvP. And this is like the same.
Exactly. So by playing type of the game C, you shouldn't be able to get loot and items which are useful for type of the game A. And by readdressing the BOEs on the black market auction house, I think that that's something that they're doing a really good job of changing.
Yeah. I think that also hurt guilds that didn't have a ton of time to play. They still wanted to progress because, you know, you're not spending every day like farming and getting gold or like selling runs. And it's like, well, I still want to compete and do well, but I don't want to just spend all my time getting these BOEs because I want my playstyle is to only raid me 3 nights a week.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a real problem. But I think like there was it's definitely a step in the right direction, but then the pay to win argument kind of carries on down a little bit more. And like you mentioned the augment runes earlier, for example, like I was talking about this on Twitter and saying that, it's a great step in the right direction. But then someone was like, oh yeah, but what should we do about augment runes? What should we do about gems, enchants, guild repairs? Like, where do you draw the line on pay to win? And it's a tricky question. Like, it's not a question where
I think that mythic gear is like so far over the line that you can say, okay, well, that's across the line. But then when you're like looking at, I feel like enchants and gems, all that is sort of like way farther down across the line. And to me, I think that's okay. But I know other people, especially those that feel pressed on time if they're in a raiding guild, are, concerned that they have to put more upkeep into buying things than they have in the past.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's fair for people to be concerned about things like the augment runes, things like gems, repairs, enchants, that kind of stuff. But I mean, like it's a kind of a difference to me is the how do you get it without spending the gold? And like, okay, so when High Maul is the only available raid, how do you get Blackrock Foundry gear without spending the gold? Spoilers, you don't. That's an issue. Like, and even now, if there's hypothetically a Mythic Blackrock Foundry piece on the black market auction house, and you are in a guild that kind of does LFR now and then, or maybe some flex, like you would have a really hard time getting that piece without spending the gold. Exactly. However, that doesn't apply. You couldn't even get
that from a garrison mission because you need the keys to unlock.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but that difficulty doesn't apply to stout like the augment runes, which you can get from LFR. That doesn't apply to enchants, which you can craft. That doesn't apply to gems, which you can craft. So although
the stat game is a lot lower than like here's a piece that is 40 item levels higher than my LFR item.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So I think that while there is an argument that there's still a lot more they can do to genuinely take away the pay to win element of having more gold, I don't think that they need to start being like, okay, we have to make enchants, we have to stop repairs being for gold, we have to make repairs be for garrison resources or something like that. I think that's a step too far. It would be definitely useful if you could spend something other than gold on repairs. I would be very happy about that. But yeah. So we spoke for quite a while about that.
And it's just, one last thing, if you weren't sure where to find more info, we have a post summarizing the Venture Bees interview, linking to Elvine's guide and the blue post, and we also have a post on the data mining with the actual items and the global strings. So check that out, it's on the front page. Super easy to find.
Yeah, absolutely. And as ever, I will put it in the info once you're watching this on Wowhead. It'll be right there below this video. It'll be there. So go check that out if you want more information. And obviously we've not hit every single in-depth point that Elvine covered in his article or that Ian covered in the VentureBeat interview. So if you want more information, do go check those out. But we should probably talk about something else as well, although the WoW token is fun and exciting. So obviously since 6.1 launched, we have not stopped working on guides. We never stop working on guides here at Wowhead. We work on guides pretty much all year. So we've got a bunch more guides coming out since 6.1. So Perk, the first ones we wanted to talk about were the Method Mythic guides, which I know you've been working really hard on.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Method got world first, super fast, clearing Blackrock Foundry. And they have been writing these mythic guides for us, and as they're the first guild to clear it, they're getting the guides to us super fast, before many other guilds have these bosses. So as we're filming the show right now, we have detailed video and written guides for Gruul and Beastlord Darmak up, and we also I just got 2 more written guides, and so probably by the time you're listening to this, there will be even more guides up. But they're really good. They've done them for High Maul as well. They have super detailed videos covering different points of view, tips for classes. They go over pretty much everything. They've got charts in the guides. They're really good. And if Mythic Foundry is too hard, check out their Mythic High Maul guides, because High Maul is still good for loot, and those bosses give achievements, and they're still a good challenge. So I'm super happy working on them, and really excited with the partnership, and congrats on their world first.
Yeah, definitely. Huge congrats again on their world first. It actually happened just before we recorded our last show, which unfortunately, thanks to illness, was 2 weeks ago. So they're storming through those guides, getting them to us at incredible speed. But that's not the only guides we've got for patch 6.1. We've also got some guides for the new varieties of daily quests that we've seen popping up in the garrison. So is that Serene, I'm assuming, who's been doing those guides?
Actually, I did that one because
you.
I got really tired going through the database and correcting things that were said in old patch notes that weren't in the final version of the patch notes. So I was like, I just want to go write a guide saying what every type of daily is, what they actually give you. Yes, you can use Group Finder to get an NPC that you don't personally have, and these are all the things that were once said would be rewards, but are definitely not rewards. Like, there was some weird rumor that if you did the raid boss on a higher difficulty, your gear would scale up that you got as a reward, which was totally not true.
Yeah.
Let's just put this all in writing. And people have seemed to respond really well to it, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want something lighter-hearted, if you want nothing more than just have a bird on your head all the time, there is an awesome guide to the Perma Pepe. If that's what you want from the world, that's out there. That was Serene, right?
Yeah,
that one was Serene. Okay, cool. I got one right. Yes, with Noxie art, which is amazing as always. So if you just want the Perma Pepe and that's all you want for patch 6.1, you can go find that on Wowhead. And again, as ever, I'm going to be linking all of these guides when I put the post up with the video on Wowhead. So obviously you can't see them right now on Twitch, but once the video's up on Wowhead, they'll all be right there. So obviously we have a bunch of other stuff going on Wowhead. We don't just write guides all the time, although sometimes it feels like it. We have a ton of other cool stuff going on with Perk and the dev team. So you've been doing a whole bunch of stuff. Like, okay, I know that this is going out of the order of what we've got on the show notes, but the one thing that I'm the most excited about is the hot fixes on the database pages. This is so cool. Like, so when you go to a database page, and Perk will tell you more about how it works and everything. Let's say, for example, I go to the database page for a mage ability, which actually, funny enough, I did recently because we had the patch 6.1.2 changes, and I was trying to establish whether these were actually genuine hotfixes or just tooltip updates. So I went to the ability page for, I can't remember what it was, so let's say it was Arcane Torrent. Yeah, I think it was Arcane Torrent. But yeah, so I went to that page and I was able to look at all of the hotfixes, recent hotfixes that were there, and establish for sure what was actually changing it and what was just updating the tooltips. It's an incredibly cool feature. So everything is, what is it, does it work for literally, does it work for just abilities, just class changes? What's it work for?
Yeah, I mean, it works for like 6 major things. So I think it's like spells, NPCs, items, factions, achievements, and something else I'm forgetting. It doesn't work for obscure things like zones or like pet battle abilities, but it works for the major stuff. So, you could go to Blackhand's page and be like, oh, these are the 4 recent hotfixes. Like, they changed this ability on him and he spawns longer. Or the spell example, there was another example where there was a paladin glyph and I was like, oh wow, it said it got increased by 25%. That seems big. Oh look, there's a hotfix a week ago from February 25th where this happened, so this is just a tooltip update. So, pretty much whenever we post hotfixes on Wowhead, you may have noticed that we don't just post the text, we have links to everything in the database. And when we put those links in, then it automatically shows up on those related pages. So, day of, it's pretty much instant. If you don't see it, try clearing cache. But yeah, it's a really, we show 4 hotfixes in the last 4 months, because after that it's probably
a bit old.
No one cares. But yeah, it's really good if you're a theory crafter and you want to see what's new versus just an update, you can use that. If you're doing a boss and something big change, you can use it for that. If there was like a faction bug, like I remember one example was the Ashran factions weren't giving rep for gnomes. And, like that hotfix is now on the page and you wouldn't exactly see that in the data, but now there's this really helpful hotfix. So yeah, it covers all of that. And whenever we have a hotfix on Wowhead and we post it on Wowhead, it automatically does cool stuff to the database. And that's super cool. And a really short story about it is the developer who had the idea suggested it back when he was a Wowhead user, like ages ago, like 5 years ago. And he pitched it to us a few weeks ago. We really loved it. He put it on the site, and it went live exactly 5 years after he pitched the idea as a user in our feedback forums.
That is so cool. That was Gerard Auroras who runs the Undermine Journal. That is so cool. Like, it's such a great story, and it's such a cool feature. Like, I've used it a bunch where I'm picking up leveling outs again. Like, I just started leveling my warrior again, where like my paladin was the tank I picked to level up quickly. And like I'm leveling my warrior now, and I'm just like, you know, I remember the changes. Like I looked at the changes when I first got back into the expansion, and I like looked at everything, and now a lot of stuff has just sort of shifted a little bit, and it's just so useful to go onto those pages and to be like, all right, so what is going on with Ren right now? And I could just go and be like, oh okay, that's exactly what's going on with Ren right now. These are the hot fixes. This is what happened when. This is where my knowledge stops, and this is how I thought it worked, and now it works like this. So it's just like, there we go.
Yeah, especially because like some spells don't update right away, so you could be like, oh, you know, like this tooltip says that, you know, this spell is not very good, but I heard it got buffed a lot, like, you know,
yeah,
what's the actual number? You're like, oh, now it shows that.
Ta-da!
So,
it's very cool. So you've also been doing a bunch of cool stuff with the ability to track your heirlooms, which is just like, oh my god, finally some way to do this, like other than the text document I'm currently using to track my heirlooms. So tell us a little bit about how that works and what exactly it does.
Okay, so if you've been paying attention, we've been adding all these cool tracking things to Wowhead recently, like toys and followers, which powers our mission calculator recommendations, and the latest addition is heirlooms. So basically, if you have the Wowhead client and looter running, and you verify a character on the profiler, you have this heirloom tab pop up in the profiler, and we have detailed instructions to this. If you've already verified a character for a giveaway or toys, you're already done with this. So just visit your Battle.net profile page, and there's a tab for heirlooms, which shows every single heirloom you have in-game, including the weird garrosh ones that don't show up unless you have them in the tab. And it's really neat because you can like sort by different categories. It shows you all the ones that you've just collected that are like not upgraded, but it also lets you figure out, you know, how many you still need to get to upgrade level 2 out of 2 in case you actually want to use them and you don't just want to collect them for the copper mount. So it's a really neat feature. Like it shows your completion status. It's like, oh, this one is like halfway upgraded and this one is at 0%, but you have it. And it's just really nice to keep tabs of everything at once and like decide which heirloom you want to work on next, or like how much gold you still need to spend to get a certain batch upgraded. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a very cool thing, and it's just like, it's just so helpful to have it all in one place, because you can use add-ons like that, some of them kind of work, but this is so much better. And it's all like, once you've got the Wowhead looter set up, it's all kind of automated, and you don't really have to do anything much apart from play the game. And you've also got the profession alerts coming up as well. This is very cool.
I think
it's up already. I was about to go check your site.
I tested it right before the show. But as you've noticed, a big part of 6.1 is getting the profession trainer that's up on that certain day, and you know, doing all your trades to get all those primal spirits, and you know, have the economy shake up. And there was a big deal when the herb trader finally came, and all the alchemists and scribes got their stuff. So we decided it would be really useful if on all the profession-related pages we showed the dates of when they would next be on the servers for all regions, and which ones are active on that certain date. So that is all in quick facts now. So for the ore trader on US and Oceanic, it will have this green lit up thing being like, hey, they're here right now. So like the traders show that, the recipes they sell show that, and if it's not on that realm, it will automatically update and show you the next time it will be there. So
it's very cool. It's very cool. Particularly with like the RNG vendors, like how, like, I don't know, a lot of people, myself included, are slightly irritated by the RNG nature of these vendors. Like, hey, maybe you'll get lucky this time, maybe you won't. And it's a little bit irritating. But since they have the fixed order, it's now just so much easier to see when they're going to be coming. So you can just go onto the page for the item, for whatever, and just check it out right there. It's all right in the same place, and that is super handy. So a ton of really cool features this time. This is what happens when we don't do a show for 2 weeks. We've got a ton of really good features to announce.
Test everything through
exactly. You can test everything, put it all on the site. But yeah, anyhow, we've also mentioned this earlier a little bit, but just for those, obviously we started the recording after we said it. So for people who are on Twitch chat, sorry, you probably already heard this, but Perk is going to be at PAX, and she's got some awesome Wowhead loot to give away for free. So we'll be tweeting out where you can find Perk to go and get some awesome Wowhead things if you're at PAX or nearby. Maybe you can pop into some of the public areas. I don't know how that works with PAX. I've never been. But if you're at PAX, you can definitely find Perk at the specified locations and times. Obviously, she's going to be a little bit busy. She's not just there handing stuff out. All right.
So much
there's stuff going on. So there's a lot of Blizzard games represented there. So lots of cool stuff to cover. But if she gets time, and I'm sure she will, she's going to have a ton of cool stuff to give away. So do definitely check that out if you are going to PAX. So Ending the Wowhead news, we've also got the Darkmoon Faire is back in town and the race is in. And if you haven't done the race, it's super cool. You should definitely check it out. You should definitely go look at the race. It's really fun and it's very silly. Although
it's very soothing in a sense. I just sort of run
yeah.
around.
I lament the lack of I lament the lack of bunnies. When it first came in on the beta, there were bunnies, and now there are not bunnies. So I lament the absence. Maybe that's a future race. So there's 3 toys, and also the music roll to get for tokens from Chester. The 3 toys. What have we got in the toy department in the Darkmoon Faire?
You've got the Fire Eater's vial. You look like a Darkmoon NPC that has green or purple fire from your mouth, and that's if you get the fastest time on the race. We have a Darkmoon ring tosser, which is if you get all 10 turtle rings in one go. And we have a Tonk toy that you can get if you get 45 targets in the Tonk game, which I know people have been having some issues with because I've had issues with it too, because you need multiple people to be doing it to get more targets to spawn, but you don't want people to be shooting at the targets because then you don't get them and you can have lag and just shoot the ground, which is also bad. And I think they might be hotfixing it, but yeah, those are the 3 toys. And like again, the carousel roll is very cool for 90 tickets. And a really cool thing is that we might have been getting more toys in future months. So that's interesting and kind of new for how they handle holidays.
Yeah, exactly. Because the Darkmoon Faire is a little bit different to the other holidays in that it recurs quite regularly. Like it's not just a once a year thing like Love is in the Air or, you know, Winter Veil or something like that. It's actually coming back all the time. So maybe like we're kind of hoping that the race and the toys might amp up as the months go on until we get back to the race that we saw in beta and maybe have more and more toys added. So that would be very, very cool.
Yeah, just like they made the schedule being like, oh, like there's going to be different mounts that you use, additional mounts you can use each month, and maybe they can have like different combat effects. So I assume they get more toys from that. But the bunny thing Olivia mentioned was, we think maybe it's tied to what's called the real big race as opposed to the real race. The real big race implies there's more stuff associated with it, so we're hoping that some of the cool beta things we saw are associated with that, which I think is coming next month, according to the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. So that's definitely something to look forward to, and I really hope it does because it's like the race now is fun. The race in beta was even more fun. So yeah. Fingers crossed for that. And we've also got some really, really cool mount news. So we spoke last time about the Void Talon of the Darkstar. And actually, it's been found. So we spoke last time, didn't we? This is, and I'm skipping over the show notes in order again, but I will come back, don't worry. But it's been found. So basically, last time we did this show, which was obviously 2 weeks ago, because we've both been unwell, we had the video from Blizzard, which was the 6.1 sort of survival guide video, which had this mysterious, like a purple version of the green mount that's there already, the Fellfire Hawk, I think, right? Yeah.
It's the ground version of it, but yeah, pretty similar. Fiery bird
type of thing. So it was. They said in the video that it would be a cool mount if you could find it. And as always, that is like a challenge to the WoW community. So it didn't take long, did it? How long did it take? Like it was a few days at least, I think.
I want to say that we started seeing information pop up on Friday, and then I made a post Saturday about it and started compiling all the different like tweets and stuff into one big map post.
Yeah. So how do we get it? So these edge of reality. I actually haven't found the time yet to go into game and try to hunt down these edge of reality portals. Have you seen them?
I mean, I haven't seen them personally. I've just seen a very few people on the mounts. But basically, they seem really hard to find because they spawn in some preset areas. There aren't very many. There's like maybe 1 or 2 in each zone. And they only are up for a very short period of time, and only one person can click it and go into it. So those are pretty low odds right there. And when you click on it, you go to the special scenario, which has a dead Void Talon, and you loot the egg next to it, which gives you this mount that you learn. Right. And that's basically it. So, you know, people are trying to camp these spots and try to figure out like how long it takes between you know, portal to spawn in one area. Yeah. all these different types of things. But we have a good idea of where the portals actually spawn. They're in sort of weird level 100 areas. And we found some interesting things like if you're in a pre-made group, you can't zone into the scenario, but they send you a mail with the mount attached, so you didn't blow your...
Oh, that's good to know.
And if you already have
that would be
mount,
so annoying.
reap others and just go into another portal again.
Oh, that's good. So they disappear after that. Yeah, because if you could get people who actually worked it out just spamming them, that is a really, really difficult mount to find though. Like if it's a portal on a spawn timer that is in strange places and only one person can go in at a time. So someone Gamer Geek X in chat is saying, what's the mount drop rate? I think the question you need to ask is more, what's the portal spawn rate? Because once you've actually found the portal and got into the scenario, it sounds pretty much to me like it's 100%.
Yeah, like there's no, you don't kill anything. It's just like there's this dead bird next to an egg and you just loot the egg, which is always there and guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly. So once you've found the portal and got into the scenario, you are set for this cool mount. However, the tricky part is finding the portal and being the first person to click it. It would definitely be one of those things, like I can imagine, like I have a bunch of friends who play on an RP server and like get invited over to an RP server where there's a lower population and you have a better chance. Like all of those shady things that you do for the Time Lost Proto Drake.
Yeah, same thing for this.
Same thing for this. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we've also had another new mount announced, which is the RAF mount, the Refer a Friend mount, is the Cindermane Charger. It's very cool, actually. I liked it. It's a sort of winged fire Pegasus pony horse flying thing.
Yeah, the mount text is really sad.
What's the mount text?
It's something about how Ragnaros made this for the daughter he never had.
Oh.
So it's like, oh, Ragnaros had a family.
Oh, poor Ragnaros. Yeah, he had a family. That's why he's mad now. That's why he's been mad for 10 years. That's so sad. But yeah, so really, I personally, like, I know everyone doesn't like it, but not everyone is ever going to like anything when 10 million people play a game. Right. But I personally really like it. So I may be referring a friend. She's also called Olivia. Yeah, so we actually made a guide to this. I actually put together a quick guide to just refer a friend, how it all works, how to set it up, because it's changed a little bit. It was kind of revamped. How to recruit yourself. Not that I don't have any friends. But yeah, like a lot of people do use it to recruit themselves. There's nothing against the rules about doing that either. Like it's totally fine. Blizzard's like, oh no, stop making more accounts and giving us money. This is the worst.
We hate money.
Oh, we hate it when you guys do this. God. But yeah, so definitely do check that out. Again, as ever with everything, it's all going to be linked below the video when it's embedded on Wowhead, so you'll have access to all of the guides we've talked about. And yeah, there's obviously still the option to get all of the other cool stuff for Refer a Friend as well.
Yeah, so like 4 other mounts.
There's 4 mounts. There's the pets. Yeah, there's 4 mounts, 4 pets, so that's about it. Plus, there's 5 mounts in total now with the Cindermane Charger, and then 4 pets, including 2 pigs that you can't get any other way if you're not on Asian servers.
Yeah, so they're pretty cool.
Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, that's kind of all we have this week. We're trying to get these shows shorter and we keep failing miserably, and this is another one of those times. So we're going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much for joining us on Twitch chat. This is a really random recording time for us this week. It's Wednesday afternoon as Perk is heading off to Paxborough with awesome swag.
Hopefully no snow.
Hopefully no snow, and hopefully awesome swag. Cross everything for no snow. So we are going to head off now. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching us on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at Olivia D. Grace. It's right there. You can follow Peculiar on Twitter at Peculiar. It's over there. You can follow Wowhead on Wowhead. And as ever, you can find everything we've spoken about and everything you could ever need to know about World of Warcraft on wowhead.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.